Hello and welcome to my video, Top 5 Eerie Ghost Stories Part 2. Number 5, Whitby. Most of these stories involve a certain building, but in this case it is the whole town. Whitby was a whaling town in England, but today is a spot of tourism. On the hill above the town stands the ruins of Whitby Abbey. It was built in 657 AD as a religious foundation, but was destroyed by Vikings in 870 AD. In 1067 it was rebuilt and was founded by Saint Hilda. Her ghost is said to roam the abbey and can be seen in the highest windows. This account, as well as the other ghost stories, led to Bram Stoker's book Dracula. A nun by the name of Constance de Beverley fell in love with a knight and broke her vows of chastity. Once discovered, the nun was cruelly sealed behind a wall in one of the dungeons, still alive. She screamed to be freed, but help never came, and she died. Many claim to see her ghost on the stairs leading to the dungeon, as well as hearing her screams to be freed. On the west pier, there is a stairway that leads to two lighthouses. It is on this path that people have encountered a one-armed ghost who is said to be of a man who fell from the steps to his death. It is said he will grin at visitors and attempt to trip them while they are walking on the steps in order for them to join him in his fate. In the town, there is said to be 3 visitors that roam about at night. One is of the Barghest, which is a hellhound that brings death to anyone who hears its howls. The second is of a ghost wandering around the roads, all the while carrying his severed head in his arms. It is said that if a sailor died and was buried on land, a ghost carriage pulled by headless horses and carrying a crew of skeletons would visit the grave. After making 3 passes, the spirit of the sailor would join them and they would disappear into the night. Number 4, Wilton Castle. The castle, located in Wexford County, Ireland, was owned by the Alcock family from 695 until 1923, when it was burnt down. This castle had 3 extra residents living on the property. An actress had lived in one of the towers but was burned to death, and for years people claimed to still see strange lights in the same tower. A tyrant by the name of Captain Archibald Jacob lived near the castle, and he was known to torture people. One night, on a horse ride home, he fell and was killed. To this day, his ghost is said to still haunt the castle as well as his home. One of the strangest events occurs around the death of Harry Alcock, who perished in 1840. On the anniversary of his death, he is seen around the property, and in most cases, a ghostly carriage would come down the road to the front of the castle. At one point, a man made a claim that during one such occasion, he even had the opportunity to speak to the ghost. Number 3, Resurrection Mary. This one originates from Chicago, and the events start in Willow Springs. One winter night, a girl by the name of Mary was dancing with her boyfriend at the O. Henry Ballroom. At one point, the couple got into an argument and Mary stormed out of the doors, heading for her home. It is stated that she decided she would rather face the cold weather rather than spend one more minute with her boyfriend. While on her way home, she was struck by a car and killed, but the driver of the car never stopped. She was buried in Resurrection Cemetery in a white dress and dancing shoes. Almost true to the name of the cemetery, Mary didn't stay at rest very long, and reports of her visit started in the 1930s. A man by the name of Jerry Paulus encountered her and stated they danced and even kissed. He says she asked him to drive her home, but she disappeared the moment he drove by the cemetery. In 1973, a cab driver entered a lounge located across the street from the cemetery, asking about a girl who had left his car before paying the fare. Consistently, from 1976 to 1989, reports of people almost hitting a girl by the road, but then disappearing flooded in. In 1976, the wrought iron bars for the gate to the cemetery appeared to have burnt-in handprints on it. People claimed it was Mary, but officials state they think it was a truck. This ghost is quite famous in the area and could be source material for the ghost hitchhiker stories. It should be stated that theories of the woman's identity has been connected to an Anna Maria Norkus, who died in the same fashion as the story in 1927. Number 2, Bell Witch. This story takes place in Robertson County, Tennessee. John Bell was engaged to marry a woman by the name of Kate Batts, but in the 1770s she was found dead near a well at her house. The circumstances of her death were mysterious, but no one was able to solve what had happened. John wasted no time in getting married to another woman not long after Kate's funeral. In 1817, John saw a dog-like creature standing in his cornfield, and when he shot at it, it disappeared into thin air. After this event, the curse began. The Bell family were plagued with the sounds of scratching, knocking, and banging on the front door. Not long after this, the family started being attacked by an unknown presence. It mainly focused on John, but it would later attack his wife and children. The children would be slapped, have their hair pulled, and heard whispering while they tried to sleep. It got to a point where anyone who entered the house would be attacked, including a minister who had came to bless the house. A family friend came to stay with the family, and the witch made it known that she would keep him warm. While he slept, his blankets would keep being pulled off, and he would feel a cold chill slide down his body. After trying unsuccessfully to capture the spirit in blankets and burn it, he fled the house. It is said that when John Bell finally died, the witch could be heard singing at his funeral. It was at this point she vowed to return in 7 years, in which she kept her word. She came back and started to torment the remaining family. At one point, the townsfolk burnt the Bell house down, but to this day, there are still reports of the witch haunting the land. Number 1. Willard Library. This library is found in Evansville, Indiana. Willard Carpenter had the building built in 1876. He was greatly involved in the Underground Railroad, and due to his ideas of all men being free, he instituted that the library be free for use by anyone who wanted to use it. Apparently, not only the living enjoy the library, as it is home to quite a few spirit guests, much like the famous scene in the movie Ghostbusters. Most notably, in 1930, a custodian came across the spirit known as the Gray Lady for the very first time. She is known to wander all rooms of the library and has been spotted by many people, including police officers who arrived thinking burglars had entered the building. The Gray Lady doesn't seem to be a vengeful ghost, but rather most reports are of water being turned on or off by itself, the smell of perfume, strange noises, books and furniture being moved, and sometimes people feel the sense of being touched. In response to the question of being haunted, the library set up cameras to catch anything odd. With these cameras, the Gray Lady as well as other spirits have been caught, but it seems that the Gray Lady is primarily seen in the children's reading room. You can go online right now and watch the webcams for yourself to see if you spot anything. I'll leave a link to the sites in the description. I made this one number 1 only due to the fact that actual images have been caught, and for the fact that you can watch the footage yourself. As a side note, I made this video since due to time constraints last week, I only made a top 5 on this topic. I felt it only right to make one including the other half of stories I had planned on, before I had to cut the top 10 list down to 5. With that, be safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.